All right, so what is DNS? DNS stands for a domain name system, and it's integral for any form of computer system, specifically if we're talking about computers and servers, to be able to translate a domain name into an IP address and vice versa. This is almost like central to the internet. All right, so when you go to an internet website and you're typing in www.google.com and you type in enter, behind the actual domain name that you're seeing there, there's actually an IP address which points to the same location, right? The same way that it works out on the internet works within your environment. So you set up a DNS server, or at least on a domain controller, you'd have a DNS service installed, and this now manages all of these translations between a domain name, which is more like a human readable. It's something very easy for people to remember, people to understand. And that translates that into an IP address, which generally people don't remember, right? Some people remember lots of IP addresses. And I'm sure as you work more and more in IT, you'll start to remember and learn IP addresses. But for the most part, just knowing the domain name is the best thing. And then you let the DNS server do all the translating for you. Translates it all from a domain name, from a DNS to a IP address. When you open up a web browser, when you open up a command prompt, when you try to log into a server, or even do some file sharing, you want to access another server where there's some files stored, all of that will check DNS. It'll check some sort of a DNS register on your network, generally, as I said, hosted on some sort of a domain controller. It'll then go, okay, my server name, ABC Server 01, actually points to this IP address, and it goes and connects to that IP address. You can also go and type in the IP address if you remember that, but how much easier is it to just remember the names of servers, the names of devices, the names of websites? Let DNS do its thing, let it go and convert it. So within DNS, you have a big catalog, essentially like a big phone book of all of these records. But that isn't a brief overview around what DNS is, and it's something that is integral for really an IT person if you want to essentially become an IT professional or you want to improve on your skills in IT, learning about DNS.